this is his story. One of the fastest growing YouTube channels in YouTube history. He literally came out of nowhere in February or something.
And he might be better than that film. Who knows?
Today we're gonna react to his best videos. First, we're gonna start with this. His story is chopped in this.
I threw a paper airplane in class, and it smacked my physics teacher in the back of
Oh, that looks like Mr. Clean from Tebow. For real, bro?
the head. He snatched it off the floor and held it up. Who did
Nice
that?
animation,
Sorry,
bro. I
sir,
love you.
I said, pointing across the room.
This
I was
ginger
aiming
guy.
for the trash can. The class erupted in laughter, but our teacher crushed my plane in his fist. The trash can? The
Wow.
drag coefficient alone makes that throw
Okay.
physically impossible. You were never gonna make it. I took that as a challenge and stood up immediately. I can absolutely make it. He rubbed his chin in deep thought before saying, let's bet on it. You land the airplane and this whole class gets
Alright,
filleted.
so this guy makes 1 minute to 2 minute videos. Let's react to his most popular.
Oh,
His
I've seen
second
this.
popular, because I hate this one.
The flight attendant slipped me
seen
a
this.
napkin that said,
I've
the
seen this
pilot
one
isn't
before.
who he says he is. Meet me in the back to talk. I knew she chose to tell me because of the military dog tags around my neck. I folded the napkin and slid it into my pocket. And that's when the captain's voice came over the intercom. Good morning, folks. This is Captain Hopkins, expecting smooth skies to Chicago. But something was wrong. I could feel it in my
Better rock on the way to Chicago.
bones. I waited 2
Alright, bro.
minutes and
Alright, bro.
casually walked to the
We,
back,
we,
not knowing
looks
what
like
to
we gotta
expect.
see the whole
flight
video,
attendant was
so
there
we
with a
can...
man holding up a police badge. The man whispered, I'm glad you're here. I'm an undercover cop. I knew something was wrong straight away. The flight attendant whispered,
How
I've
did
flown
you
with
know?
Captain Hopkins for 6 years. I don't exactly know what's wrong, but I know that's not Hopkins, and we're flying the wrong way. She showed me the flight map of where we were heading. The plane is heading toward an abandoned airport. I leaned over the map. My body was pumping with adrenaline because it was the perfect place to crash a plane. There's an empty space above the pilot's room.
Okay.
I can climb up and listen to what the pilot and co-pilot are planning
Hopefully
through the
that's not
ceiling. Take my
copyright
number.
music.
If you can tell there's something fishy going on, text me one word. Now. That's the signal to move. And to distract
Bro, why do you
everyone
like
while I climbed
copyright
above
so
the
much?
ceiling, the flight
Bro,
attendant
I
made an
hate
announcement
'em.
on the speakers to tell everyone to keep their seatbelts on.
Okay.
Through the
Keep
cracks,
your
I could hear
seatbelts
2 men in the pilot's room talking. 15 years ago today, our brother
Guys,
died because
fun-
of Captain Hopkins.
Guys, fun fact, we haven't flew in a plane since 2023. True, bro, right? When I'm not gonna say the location.
Now we get to crash his plane with him tied up on it.
We
while
were in
I
America.
texted the undercover cop. Now, the cart slammed in. My twin,
Oh.
the flight attendant slipped me a napkin on the floor. The
Oh, I like this very much.
My twin brother,
Those
the
we're
flight
gonna do
attendant
this at
slipped
the
me a-
end, okay?
I dropped through
No.
the ceiling and tackled
We're
the
gonna-
co-pilot
we're gonna
out
see
of
that
his-
at
The
the
cop pinned
end.
the co-pilot to the floor. The flight attendant grabbed the radio. Mayday, our pilot is gone. We need help landing right now. She looked at me. Find Hopkins, the actual pilot. He has to be on this plane somewhere. I sprinted to the back of the plane, checking every door. I yanked open the
Okay.
closet next to the bathrooms, and Captain Hopkins was inside with his hands tied and tape across his mouth. I ripped the tape off. Get me to the controls. He ran to the front and dropped into the pilot's chair. He grabbed the wheel. Tower, this is the real Captain Hopkins. I'm landing this plane. When we finally landed, the cops dragged the brothers off in handcuffs. The flight attendant came up to me in the aisle. I pulled the napkin out of my pocket and held it up. You saved 200 lives with this. She smiled and took it back. The flight attendant...
Dude, let's read the comments. One of the best stories yet. People in 2050 will study his YT story in history class. And the passengers are only here for the drama. Review. I met her on the way to Chicago. Where Michael Jackson. Dude, I'm look up that song right now.
Better rock on the way to Chicago.
Shit.
Why do you not know how to spell Chicago?
Go.
Chicago, what's the scene? Better rock on
The white. This is the song.
Met her on the way to Chicago.
How did I call that?
But she was alone.
Alright.
The flight
So,
attendant...
relax
My
the
daughter came
rest-
home...
Alright, what's this?
Because the teacher doesn't know what color blood is. The first time I realized something was wrong, Riley came home from...
Which adult doesn't know what color blood is? I learn it bleed like every week.
I knew blood color when I was 1. For real.
It is red, not blue.
School holding out her arm. Look, Dad, you can see the blue blood in my veins right here. She traced the blue lines under her skin
No,
with her
that's
finger.
just the
I put down my
veins.
coffee and looked.
That ain't his story.
That's not true. Blood is always
That ain't his story.
That's Fat's story.
red because of hemoglobin. It's just darker red in your veins. Her face scrunched up. But Mrs. Miller showed us a whole PowerPoint about it. She even had diagrams from a science book. The next morning, I packed my work scrubs in my bag. I'm an ER nurse at Mercy General, and I was working the afternoon shift anyway. I sent Mrs. Miller an email asking if I could do a quick presentation about blood for career day that afternoon. She loved the idea. When I arrived, Mrs. Miller introduced me as Riley's dad, who works at the hospital. 28 kids stared up at me from their desks. I heard you guys learned that blood is blue inside your body.
Yeah,
I
we
said.
did.
The entire class
Yeah?
nodded enthusiastically.
Why
Mrs.
does-
Miller beamed from her desk in the corner.
Why does that blue shirt guy look like me in 2022?
I pulled out a blood collection
yeah.
tube from my pocket and held it up. This is what we use to draw blood at the hospital. Notice something. The tube creates a vacuum. No oxygen inside at all. I paused. When we draw blood with these, it never touches oxygen until we pop the cap off. I showed them photos on my
Dude,
phone.
stop it.
sealed.
Dude, stop it. Dude, stop it. That was a video.
It's that interesting presentation, Mr. Tubes. See? Still
How
red.
long
Mrs.
is
Miller's
this
smile
video?
started fading. She shifted in her chair and cleared her throat. A boy raised his hand and pointed to their science textbook. But our
Are
textbook
you
says it's blue. I
serious?
picked up the book and checked the publication date, 1998. Medicine updates pretty fast.
should
I used to
make
think
video
lots
like
of things
that.
that turned out to be wrong. Mrs. Miller suddenly stood up from her desk, her hands gripping the
15
edge. Well, thank you for
seconds.
that
That's
interesting
way better.
presentation, Mr. Johnson. But
Bro,
we
you
need
need
to
to
move
see
on
the
to math now. I
views
nodded
on our
and started
video.
packing when a girl in the back raised her hand. So our textbook is wrong? The class erupted in whispers. The curriculum says, actually, I interrupted, pulling up the state science standards on my phone. I walked over and turned my phone toward her. The current curriculum specifically mentions this myth as something to correct. She stared at the screen and her
What
eyes
is
narrowed.
wrong with
Her
my
mouth twisted into a
tablet?
thin line
I'ma
and
sit
her nostrils
down,
flared.
I'ma
Can I
sit down.
speak with you in the hallway? The kids
I was
watched as we
standing
walked
up all
out.
the time,
door
bruh.
closed
I'm
behind
doing
us.
this.
Do you have any idea how hard it is when parents undermine my authority? Her face was red and her voice was sharp. Now they'll question everything I say. I kept my voice calm. Isn't that exactly what we want them to do? Question things and learn critical thinking? She crossed her arms tightly. I've been teaching for 22 years. I'm not changing my whole curriculum because some nurse thinks he knows better than our textbooks. The next day, I found out
He
Mrs.
ain't
Miller
a
gave the class a
nurse.
pop
He a
quiz.
doctor.
Riley came home crying, her face red and puffy. Her hands were shaking as she handed me a paper with a big red F on it. I took a deep breath and felt my jaw tighten as I looked at the question. What color is blood inside the body? Riley had written red, and Mrs. Miller had marked it wrong. I requested a meeting with Principal
It's literally red!
Printouts of medical textbooks.
What the heck? And why does her test only have one question, by the way?
And asked her directly, is blood
He's
blue
learning you make great animation. I'll subscribe to you.
inside the body?
No.
After a long pause, Mrs. Miller said, it's what the children understand better. I leaned forward in my chair. My daughter is crying every morning before school because she's afraid of getting F's. for
Why
writing
are we
down the
getting
truth.
so
The next
much
day, the school replaced their
notifications?
science books. Now whenever Riley
Why-
learns something new at school, she comes home and asks me, Dad, is this actually true or is it just a Mrs. Miller truth? My daughter came home crying.
Good one, Riley. Good one.
Every time we heard a knock
Oh,
on the
I don't
front,
like
a
that.
man climbed onto
No,
our
I like
Every
this.
time we heard a knock on the front
Talks
door,
about
my
Michael
dad would
Jones.
yell, stealth
Nah.
mode, and we had 30
Alright.
seconds to kill
Your
every
name
light in
is
the house. My brother and I
G-O-A-T.
would race through the
Alright,
rooms, flipping
go.
switches, yanking
Go.
cords, shutting off
Ronaldo?
the TV mid-show, while some guy outside banged on the front door yelling, I know you're in there, buddy. Dad timed us. Once
sure.
everything was dark, no talking, no moving, no looking out the windows. We'd sit there until Dad did his owl hoot, which meant all clear. Sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes almost an hour. Afterwards,
Damn.
he'd high-five us and go, real ninjas couldn't do better. He told us stealth mode was top secret. Never tell your teachers, your friends, nobody. Other people wouldn't understand. For years, I believed him. When I was 8, I asked Dad why we had to hide so much. He said some annoying guy kept bothering our family, and stealth mode was how we dealt with him. I felt proud we had a secret skill that could outsmart bad
Okay.
guys. By the time I was 10, I heard the voice outside yell something about a bet and $20. I tugged Dad's sleeve and whispered, is the bad guy trying to steal our money? Dad shushed me so hard I flinched. When I was 12, I broke the window rule, peeked through the blinds, and saw a completely normal guy in a polo shirt standing on the porch rubbing his forehead. He didn't look like a criminal. He looked like someone's tired uncle. At 13, I told Dad I was just going to open the door and tell the guy to leave us alone. The color left his face. You absolutely cannot do that. That was the first time stealth mode didn't feel like a game. By 15 or 16, it barely happened anymore. But when it did, Dad would peek through the blinds looking guilty. Mom just shook her head from the couch and muttered muttered something under her breath. I was 17 and home alone.
How
I heard
long
it.
is
I know
this
you're. A man climbed
dude?
every time we heard
No,
a knock.
I'm sorry.
Mom just shook her head from the couch and muttered something
Alright.
under her breath. I was 17 and home alone when I heard it. I know you're in there. It's been 12 years, man. I opened the front door. The guy nearly fell backwards. Normal-looking dude, middle-aged, holding a crumpled piece of paper. Oh, hi. Is your dad home? I'm his old college roommate. He held up the paper. Your old man bet me $20 Michael Jordan wouldn't win his 6th ring. That was 1998. I've been knocking on this door ever since. He handed me the IOU, both their signatures, right there at the bottom. I left it on the kitchen table. Mom saw it first and laughed so hard she had to hold the counter. Dad picked it up, read it, put it back down, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "So now he knows someone's home." Then he turned off the kitchen light and got under the table. We were never in danger. My dad just lost a bet because of the greatest of all time.
Talks about Michael Jordan. Shows a picture of LeBron, bro. LeBron ain't the GOAT. LeBron ain't. I wonder who that is. Yeah.
A man climbed
He's
on every
also
time we
famous.
heard a knock on the front door. My dad would
Did you
a
just
man
copy him?
climbed onto our school bus with a knife, and the first thing he
Knife?
heard was a slow clap from the back
Alright,
row.
slow clap.
Confused, he
I'm
screamed
alright.
at our
I'm gonna do that. I did a fast
for
clap.
Mrs. Worley to keep driving and not stop for anyone. A kid leaned forward. Nice ski mask. Did you cut the holes out yourself, or did your mommy help you? The whole bus laughed. He waved the knife around.
What is
Shut
wrong
up,
with
no one gets
these kids? What is wrong with kids nowadays,
is
right? Why does this guy look like
But I can't
the
tell.
guy in the ending from Toy Story? Dude, he looks like the
That's
guy
a
from
threat
Toy
or a
Story.
dance move. He stepped toward the kid who said it, and 20 voices started talking at once. Oh, he's walking now. Everybody watch out.
Yeah,
He spun
then
around trying to find...
The guy. Oh, I know who that is. The guy in the ending of Toy Story. That's so funny. Sid?
It took me 15 years to realize this crazy detail about Toy Story. So in the first movie, we meet Sid and see that he has a unique way of playing with toys. And at the end of the film, we see him get traumatized
told ya.
after the toys reveal that they're alive. But after rewatching the movies, I noticed something that changes everything. Here's the thing. At the start of the third film,
Spun around trying to find who said what, but insults were coming from every direction. Bros seriously hijacked a bus with no plan, no getaway car, and a Walmart knife. This is the saddest crime I've ever seen.
Sid!
Finish.
Sid, you shouldn't be
Are
talking.
you robbing us for money? All I have is an EBT card and a bus pass. He pointed his knife at Mrs. Worley, and the whole bus...
Don't you dare!
A kid stood up. You can threaten us all.
You're not a kid, you're
You
Sid.
that thing at Mrs. Worley again. We're gonna have a real different conversation. He laughed nervously and asked what a bunch of kids were going to do about it. A girl said, "We're on the bus to the school for troubled teens. Half of us are here for assault, and the other half won't say why." Mrs. Worley looked at him over her shoulder.
Like the girl slapped, I'ma slap you. Did that hurt?
Honey, I've watched these kids make grown men cry over smaller things than pointing a knife at me. He lowered the knife. Smart choice. She brings us donuts on Fridays. We protect
Damn,
what matters.
that's a knife.
His face
Damn, that's
twisted,
nice.
and he shoved toward the kid with the knife raised. Mrs. Worley pulled over, stood up, and stepped between them. That's enough now. He grabbed her arm and shoved her into the dashboard. For half a second, the bus was completely silent. Then a kid came over the seats like something feral, and 3 others were right
Oh,
behind
yeah,
him.
you're
The
co-
guy didn't have time to
Oh!
turn around before someone...
What? Did you see that?
For a second, the bus was completely
What did I-
silent. Then a kid came over the seats like something
What
feral,
did I
and 3
see?
others were right behind him. The guy didn't have
Why are your pants so tight? And why do you have a huge gap?
time to
Yeah!
or someone hit him in the back of the knee when he went down. The knife skittered under the seats,
Where's
and
his
kids
gap?
were on top of him before he could reach for it. Someone had him in a headlock while someone else pinned his arms. A girl
that's-
sat on his legs and went through his pockets just to add
Ooh,
insult to injury. Mrs. Worley pressed the emergency
That's
button. I need
rude.
police at my location. Tell them there's no rush. The situation is handled. The guy was crying. Please get off me. I can't breathe. A kid leaned close to his face. You should have thought about that before you touched Mrs. Worley. When the cops showed up, they found him tied to a seat with shoelaces and snot running down his face. A man climbed...
Damn! I want to see that booty again. Hey, yo, what the frinkly dinkly? Why? This is a kid-friendly channel,
measured
bro.
me for the first time that day and screamed, "Why are you still 5'10"? Dad measured. How is he your dad? He's... Paramedic had to sedate her when he heard a paramedic had to sedate him. Dad measured me for the 5th time that day and screamed, "Why are you still 5'10"? I stared
I don't know, because of his genetics.
down at my 5'3" dad, and he glared. "Stop looking down at me. No son of mine will ever look down on me. We're going to fix this before it's too late." And so the next day,
You
Dad
better
came into my room with x-rays of my legs marked with red X's saying, "I found a surgeon who will remove these bones so that you can finally be shorter than me. I already scheduled the surgery." I stared in horror.
Hey,
Dad
yo!
jumped around saying he couldn't wait to be taller than me. I knew I had to make the surgery impossible, so I started running 26 miles non-stop. And even though it hurt, I kept
the
going
hard
until
work
my
in.
legs gave
Get the
out
hard
because I
work.
needed my bones to be so damaged they couldn't
I'm faster
operate
than
on me.
this dude.
And then on the day of my scheduled surgery, the doctor took one look at x-rays of my damaged legs and refused to operate on me. Dad got angry. Why? He's perfectly fine. But the surgeon shook his head and pointed at the x-ray. "His bones are too damaged. If I cut into them, they could shatter, and a shard of bone could hit his heart. Your son could die."
How could a shard of leg bone hit your heart? Dude, your leg is literally the last thing. Bro, it's literally like this, bro. You can't see it. Bro, don't you know they have rib cases? A little bone cube can handle 5 cars. Yeah. If y'all didn't know, I have a
Crossed
big
his
brain.
arms. "I'm okay
Just
taking
kidding.
that risk.
Exactly.
Just do it so he can be
2
shorter
plus
than me."
2
But the
is
doctor
20.
kept saying no, and I thought it was finally over. But when we got home, Dad grabbed his toolbox and said, "If a surgeon isn't going to fix this, then I'll do it myself." He chased me around the house screaming, "Get back here! You will be shorter than me!" I ran outside across the yard, and that's when Dad's foot got caught on the garden hose, and he fell down hard, and I saw both his legs were bent the wrong way. Dad screamed, and I called the ambulance, and when they arrived, paramedics loaded him onto a stretcher while one of them questioned me. "How do you know this man?" he asked. When I said he was my dad, his eyes bulged, and he looked back and forth between my dad and me, and then suddenly asked, "How is he your dad? He's so short." Dad thrashed so hard in the stretcher when he heard a paramedic had to sedate him. Dad measured me for the 5th time. I became my school's hero for 1 minute.
That ain't his story.
My teacher looked at my drawing, covered her mouth,
Dude,
and
these
in
are
the middle of a
boring.
test, the sprinklers started spraying.
Why that sit
Everyone
again?
instantly screamed, "Ah!" But I realized it wasn't water spraying.
Look, gasoline! Guys, this is the dude that we call Sid. Dude, his name is Sid.
Ah!
And
But
this is Sid. Guys, I'm gonna show you one of the greatest picture of Sid of all time. That right there. He's so... Damn, bro, I'm sorry for that facial. He's so emo.
But I realized it wasn't water spraying.
It looked like
Someone
gasoline.
yelled, "What is this? What is on us?" We all tried to stand up and run, but everyone was slipping. The alarm blared, and the principal yelled on the speaker, "Everyone needs to get out of the building immediately. There is an active threat inside." But just
No.
before we could get out, our teacher stepped in the way. He
Dude,
said,
this might
"Wait,
happen in
I think
real
I just
life.
saw the threat
I don't
out
care.
there." But the hall was empty. "There's nobody out there. Let us out." I tried to grab the handle, but he slapped my hand.
Thanks.
"No, nobody's leaving." Everyone was
Now you're
and that's when I
Sid.
realized I liked the smell. Oh my god, it was gasoline. Half the class rushed over to the windows, but we couldn't just jump out because we were on the 3rd floor. Stacy yelled, "Please, let us out. We have to make a run for it." But he just stood there. He just said, 30 more seconds. Everyone
Right.
was confused. "What? We need to go. We'll die from the fumes." But he just smiled. 20. "What if a fire starts? We'll all burn." 10 seconds. A girl yelled, "Ah! It's in my eyes! I can't see!" It was complete chaos until our teacher reached for the lock. He turned it. The door clicked open and someone walked in. "Thanks for letting me in, Dad." Stacy yelled, "Dad, you have a son!" They both turned around, locking eyes straight onto me. We all started backing up, and when I saw the guy's face, my heart sank. I recognized him. He pointed
Who's that?
straight at me and said, You put me in jail for 5 years. Now it's finally time to get revenge." I couldn't believe my eyes. This was the same guy I had called the
Wait,
police
that's
5
not
years
his
ago. He had
story.
tried to rob my grandma
That's
at
it.
gunpoint and had been waiting to get me back. We watched him pull something out of his pocket and hold it up, and we saw it was a big
And
light.
it was a
Everyone
lighter.
started panicking because
Do I
one
show you
tiny
guys
flame,
one of the
and we'd all
scariest
immediately
characters?
burn. I yelled, "No, please, you'll
please.
kill us all." He just smiled. He started flicking, and we all yelled, "Stop, please, we'll all die." He flicked over and over, and I knew I had to stop him before it worked. "Please, my grandma was all I had. I didn't mean to make you suffer." And when I said that, I saw our teacher look at me, but he looked upset. We were all crying, and I saw him really looking at his son like he didn't know who he was. Flick, flick. Then finally, it caught a flame. He held it up, but I saw our teacher pick up the fire extinguisher from the wall. I knew there was no way that tiny thing would save us from the fire. But his son said, "This is for what you did, for putting me in prison with those diddlers. Say goodbye." But right before he dropped the lighter, our teacher raised the
Who says diddlers nowadays?
fire extinguisher, and in one moment he slammed
Is that
it
my
down on
teacher?
his head
My
hard. His
teacher!
son instantly fell over, and our teacher stood there panting. He was crying. "I'm so sorry. I failed all of you. My son was a monster." The police ran in and grabbed him, and he looked at me one more time with tears in his eyes as they took him out. In the middle of a test, when I saw Kimberly walking out of the boys' bathroom, I asked,
That's not appropriate for a channel.
After 8 years on death row, I was ready to die. They said I killed Rebecca. My fingerprints were on the knife. My blood was at the scene. I told them I didn't do it, but nobody believed me. I spent years fighting,
Alright.
filed every appeal, exposed every contradiction in the evidence. None of it mattered. My lawyer stopped returning my calls. My appeals were exhausted. My family stopped visiting 2 years ago. Even my own mother thought I did it. The only person who ever believed me was my grandmother, and she passed away 5 years ago. So when they asked what I wanted for my last meal, I thought of her. Her meatloaf, the one she made me every birthday. I wrote out her recipe from memory. Every
What?
measurement and technique precise. An hour later, the prison chef showed up at my cell
That's
holding
not
my form.
his
What is
story.
this? Meatloaf. This is a novel, not a recipe. Ground beef 60%, ground pork 40, breadcrumbs soaked in whole milk for exactly 10 minutes. Yellow onion, not white, sautéed in butter until translucent. Fresh thyme, not dried. Worcestershire, 2 tablespoons, no substitutes. And this glaze with brown sugar and apple cider vinegar, brushed on at 340 degrees, 20 minutes before done. He looked at me through the bars. Why so specific? It's how my grandmother made it. She's gone now. If I'm going to die Friday, I want to taste her cooking one last time. He was quiet for a moment. Some of these ingredients we don't stock. Fresh thyme, whole milk, real butter. I'll have to special order them. I have 48 hours. He sighed. I'll make it exactly how you wrote it. Thursday morning, the ingredients arrived and the chef started cooking. I could smell it from my cell an hour later. Onions sautéing in butter. Grandma's kitchen. Saturday mornings, her humming while she cooked. I sat on my bunk and cried for the first time in 8 years. Thursday afternoon, the chef ran into problems. The oven temperature wouldn't hold steady. He had to recalibrate. Start over on the glaze twice. It has to be perfect, he told the warden. It's his last meal. Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, from the smell. The meatloaf baking through the night while I sat alone with memories of the only person who believed I was innocent. After 8 years on death row, I was ready
Stop
to die.
it!
Degrees, 20 minutes before done. Ingredients arrived and the chef started cooking. I could smell it from my cell an hour later. Onions sautéing in butter. Grandma's kitchen. Saturday mornings, her humming while she cooked. I sat on my bunk and cried for the first time in 8 years. Thursday afternoon, the chef ran into problems. The oven temperature wouldn't hold steady. He had to recalibrate. Start over on the glaze twice. It has to be perfect, he told the warden. It's his last meal. Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, from the smell. The meatloaf baking through the night while I sat alone with memories of the only person who believed I was innocent. Friday, execution day. 10 a.m. and no meal yet. Noon, and the chef said the glaze wasn't right. 2 p.m., a guard brought regular prison lunch because the meatloaf still wasn't ready. 4 p.m., 2 hours left. The smell was overwhelming. Guards kept walking past the kitchen just to breathe it in. 5 p.m., the warden came to my cell. Your meal isn't ready. We're delaying the execution 2 hours. 6 p.m. came and went.
Damn, bro. The chef saved his life.
The original execution time, I was still alive, waiting for meatloaf. 7:30, the chef finally appeared with a covered plate. He looked exhausted. He uncovered it, and the meatloaf looked exactly like my grandmother's. I ate slowly, savored every bite. Perfect. I finished the last bite at 7:51. 9 minutes left. The guard opened my cell. Time to go, Preston. They walked me down the hallway past other cells.
Preston?
Inmates were silent.
His name is
They always
Fizz.
were during execution walks. We reached the preparation room. The chaplain asked if I wanted to pray. I said no. 7:55. 5 minutes. They started walking me toward the chamber. That's when the warden's phone rang. He answered and his face changed. Stop. Everyone stop moving. What's happening? Rebecca's ex-boyfriend just confessed to her murder. You're innocent. My legs gave out. A guard caught me. The chef appeared in the hallway out of breath. He slid down the wall and sat next to me. If that meatloaf had been ready on time, you'd already be gone. I just sat there, still alive. Because my grandmother's recipe was too complicated to rush. She saved my life. She always did. After 8 years on death row,
How can you just call and confess at the time of this guy's execution?
Why
He said, yeah, I did it. Don't kill him. I did it. Right? He said that.
after 8 years on, I was
Dude,
sitting in
stop it.
class when my phone
don't care
buzzed.
how long.
Look under your desk. Same
Dude,
text.
dude.
The whole class bent down at
Dude,
the same.
dude, I'm gonna do this. 140.
not watching this.
Sitting in
Why?
class when my phone buzzed.
Alright,
Look under your
guys,
desk.
this is the last short we're gonna watch before we end the video.
text. The whole class bent down at the same time. Taped underneath each desk was an envelope with our name on it. I ripped mine open, and a Polaroid slid out. A blood splatter on white tile. I looked around. Everyone was holding something different. A lamp knocked over. A knife. Drag marks on carpet. 30 different photos. All pieces of something horrible.
Is it the
Our phones
puzzle?
buzzed again. Piece together the puzzle. You have 5 minutes. Everyone jumped up. We started comparing photos. Some had timestamps. We threw them on the floor in order. Blood. Struggle. Weapon. A body being dragged. A car trunk. Dirt. A shovel. 3 minutes left. The photos weren't fitting right. Some inside a house. Some outside. Then someone noticed the edges. They fit together like an actual puzzle. We started connecting them. Blood splatter to broken lamp. Knife to drag marks. 30 photos becoming one massive crime scene. 1 minute left. Something was missing. One missing piece and the whole class fails.
I think
Everyone
it's the
turns
nerd.
to the kid in the corner.
You're
Arms
nerd.
crossed. I'm not playing this sick game. The whole class turned on him. Put it down. He didn't budge. 30 seconds. 20. Then 10. He
just
threw his photo down. The centerpiece. A child's bedroom. 2 bodies on the floor. The door swung open. Our teacher walked in clapping. You just solved a 20-year-old cold case. When I was 8, someone left these photos in my mailbox. One each day. Pictures of my parents' murder scene. She pointed at the puzzle. The killer left DNA on the film. 20 years later, I finally got a match. She looked at us. It was my uncle. I was sitting in class when my phone buzzed.
Alright, bro. Did you forget what we said to the fans? We need to watch this video at the end. Alright, we're gonna watch this last video.
My twin brother Chris and I were 9 when we learned Morse code. We tapped
Wait a second,
messages
this is
under
a part 2? We're gonna watch the part 2
dinner
as well.
table when Mom told us to stop talking and tapped through the wall between our bedrooms every night. When Chris got into a car accident and the doctor said he'd never wake up, I pulled up a chair next to
That
his
means
bed,
he's
took his
dead.
hand, and tapped. Are you there? Nothing. But I came back the next afternoon and tapped again. Before I left, I always said the same thing. See you tomorrow, Chris. A week later, Chris's fingers twitched against mine, and I almost fell out of my chair. I grabbed a nurse and she barely looked up. They're reflexes. It doesn't mean anything. I bought a notebook the next day and started writing down every single one. 4 months in, Mom watched me scribbling and said, "How long are you gonna keep doing this? Until he taps back." He's not gonna tap back. You're talking to a corpse. Dad lasted a few more months before he pulled me into the hallway. We need to talk about donating your brother's organs. His fingers move every time I hold his hand, Dad. The nurses said those are reflexes. Stop getting your hopes up, son. I don't care what the nurses say. You're not donating my brother's organs. But a week later, my parents...
Damn, his own father said he gotta donate his organs. W his story, bro. W his story. Right? No.
called to have Chris transferred to a long-term facility to die and scheduled a meeting to sign the papers. The afternoon before the meeting, I tapped into his palm like always, but this time, something tapped back. Short, short, short. Long, long, long. Short, short, short. SOS. I grabbed his hand. Chris, if that's you, squeeze once. He squeezed so hard my knuckles cracked. I stormed into the meeting room and told them my brother just responded to me. The caseworker said, "This is very common with families who aren't ready to let go." My parents nodded. I grabbed the transfer papers off the table. "You're not signing anything until you come see for yourself." I walked them to Chris's bed and grabbed his hand. "Ask him anything." The caseworker asked what year it was. Chris squeezed out the answer. Count to 5. 5 perfect squeezes. His mother's name, tapped out letter by letter. By the 10th question, she said, "He's still alive. We can't move him." Weeks later, I asked Chris what kept him fighting when everyone gave up. Heard Mom call me a corpse. Heard Dad say donate my organs. Heard all of them leave, except you. I asked why. I wanted to see you too. My twin brother, the flight attendants...
Alright, we gotta
my
watch the
twin-
part 2.
The second my mom pulled up to my school, I saw she was mad. And as soon as I opened the car door, she held up my report card. "Are you kidding me? Not a single A on here." I tried to tell her I was sorry. I tried my best. She threw it at me. "Maybe if you didn't stay up all night tapping that dumb secret code on your brother's wall, you'd actually be able to focus." I felt my heart beating. I pulled out my phone to text my brother. "Mom's really mad. I think she might," but she grabbed it from my hand. Always on this stupid phone too. I could see her face turning red. But when I looked forward, "Mom, watch out." She saw the car too and screamed. It smashed right into us. Glass was everywhere and I hit my head. I didn't know where I was. I tried to open my eyes, but nothing was moving. Then I heard something.
think this
"Listen,
is
kid,
the
he's never
brother's
gonna
knife,
wake up."
right?
"No, please, he
Yeah.
has to." It was my brother. I tried moving my hands,
I
screaming.
think this
Nothing
is his
worked.
brother,
But then
right?
someone tapped my hand. I instantly recognized it. "Chris, are you there?" I squeezed my hand as hard as I could, but it didn't move. But he stood up. "See you tomorrow, Chris." I felt a tear roll down my cheek. Someone else came in. We should just pull the plug. I'm not paying for a vegetable. We'll get more money from donating anyways. It was my mom. She was talking about selling me, but I was still here. Jay came back, tapping about his day. I knew I had to warn him. I squeezed my arm. It felt like concrete. Please, anything. They'll kill me. Then it twitched. He gasped. He ran out to grab the
That's his
Just a
story.
reflex. No, it's him. You're talking to a corpse. That night, I heard my mom. He's gone. We need to pull the plug. I tried to move. Then, my shoulder twitched. My dad screamed. He moved. They were silent. If he wakes up, we get nothing. We need to get that paperwork signed. They ran out, and I knew I didn't have long. I felt someone tap my hand again. Chris, please wake up. They're gonna kill you. I squeezed. I needed a miracle. Then, my fingers moved. I said the first thing I thought of. SOS. Chris, I knew it. He instantly ran out of the room. Guys, he's awake. He's awake. They rushed in. I squeezed their hands. They saw it all. I heard my mom. He's still alive. We can't move him. But I knew what she said. That night, I tapped it all out to my brother as he wrote it down. He couldn't believe it. Then, when I finally opened my eyes, they gasped. My mom hugged me. Honey, you're alive. But I didn't hug her back. The doors opened behind them, and when the cops walked in, my parents looked nervous. What's going on? Can we help you? They were pissed. They slammed them both in handcuffs, and when they looked, Jake was holding up everything I said. I could barely move my arm, but used all my strength to raise my hand, then my middle finger. The second my mom pulled up to my school, I saw I could barely
W, brother, right? Yeah. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to click on the screen. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye!